Hello, Congressman Don Norcross here. We're here today to discuss something that we get many questions about, and certainly there is great interest. We're dealing with the IRS today. You might ask yourself, why am I dealing with the IRS? They happen to be responsible for the economic impact payments. That is the money that you've heard about concerning helping individuals throughout our country economically. We're joined today with Kate Hunyadi, who is the IRS Congressional Liaison, and Erica Sun, local taxpayer advocate. So, since the beginning of this virus, my focus has been on three primary areas: response, relief, and certainly recovery. Today, we just want to talk about one of those issues, and that's economic security. During the CARES Act, one of the provisions that were written into it has to do with giving those average men and women across our country economic security, those dollars and cents. And we're here today to talk about how that money is actually getting from the federal government into your pockets as quickly as possible. Kate is the Congressional Liaison, and I want to thank her for being with us today, who's going to walk us through how to apply, if there is an application, how do you get your money, and all the questions that you might ask. So, Kate, again, thanks for being here. What exactly is the economic impact payment?
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'd like to start with a little background. You mentioned the CARES Act, and the economic impact payments are from a provision in the Act that established a new refundable credit for the 2020 tax year, which is what we are in at the moment. So this credit, as I said, is refundable, which means like a normal tax credit, it is used to offset any tax liability that is due, but a refundable credit is special because if you don't use all of the credit, then you receive a payment for the excess in the form of a refund when you file your tax return. So essentially, the economic impact payments are based on, they're an advance payment of what we think an individual or a family will qualify for when they file their 2020 tax return. So this prediction it's an educated estimate based on tax return information from either 2018 or 2019, depending on if you filed your 2019 return or not. So the amount of the credit is $1,200 per individual. So that means a married couple would qualify possibly for $2,400. And then for any eligible children, there would be an additional $500 payment. I do want to mention that the amount of the payment is going to be reconciled when the 2020 income tax return is filed. And what that means is we will compare the payment that you did receive to the amount of payment that you were eligible or entitled to receive. And I have good news all around. If you received more money than it turns out you were eligible for, you will not have to pay back the excess. But if you are entitled to more money than you received, you will get the additional money at that time. An example would be if you had a baby in 2020, obviously the baby wouldn't be accounted for in 2018 or 2019, but will be in 2020. So when you file your return, you will get the $500 at that time.
So, Kate, in short order, and you work for the IRS, which means you have to be very detail-oriented. For the average man or woman who makes less than $75,000 a year, they're going to get $1,200 or $2,400 between a couple. Is that generally where we're headed?
So yes, the full amount of the stimulus payment is $1,200, and anyone who makes less than $75,000 will be eligible for that. And if you make between $75,000 and $99,000, you will receive a prorated portion of the stimulus payment for an individual, and then that's doubled for a married couple.
So the first question is, when can I get my money? How's it coming? Do I have to apply for it, or is this automatic?
Well, we are already in the process of issuing the payments, and here's the breakdown. If you have not filed a tax return, yet, but you are required to, then that's the first step to getting your payment, either 2018 or 2019. If you are not required to file a tax return and based on your income, then we actually have a tool on irs.gov called non-filers, enter your payment information here. And this will allow you to answer a few simple questions and essentially generate a tax return that the IRS can use to issue the payment. But it won't be considered a real tax return, and it won't affect future filing requirements.
So I do nothing, it will automatically come to me if I'm eligible. Does that mean I'm gonna get a check in the mail, or do I get a refund online? How's that work?
So the IRS will use direct deposit information that we have on file if we have it on file. If not, you will receive a paper check in the mail. We have another online tool called Where is my economic impact payment, similar in nature to the Where is my refund, but definitely a different tool, not interchangeable in any way. But if you do not have direct deposit information on file with the IRS, but you are required to file a tax return, you can enter the information on this portal. Unfortunately, you cannot update information. So if the IRS has a bank account on file that you have since closed, what will happen is the payment will likely go to that bank account, it will bounce back, and then we will issue a paper check instead to the address of record.
So we've heard that if you get a paper check, you could be 20 weeks away because they can only issue 5 million. So is the idea to go online and maybe register so I can get it a lot quicker?
Well, I'll be honest, the paper checks will take longer than the direct deposits. And for tax returns for 2019 tax returns that have recently been filed, the processing is not quite complete yet to distribute the direct deposit, the payment to the direct deposit for those returns either. But that is the best thing to do. File your tax return and provide direct deposit information. That's the fastest way to get your payment.
So we're getting lots of phone calls in our congressional office, I'm sure the way you could imagine. But somebody says, gee, it says I'm not eligible when I click it. What does that mean, and how can I check on it?
Okay, so I'm going to use a cheat sheet because I don't want to confuse anyone. When you check the status of your payment, there are two potential, we'll call them error messages that you can get. And one is needs more information. This means essentially that you are eligible for a payment, but we don't have direct deposit information on file. So if you're able to input information because we don't have it at all, we don't have anything on file for you, you can use that portal to do so. If you're not able to input information because we already have something, then you'll get a paper check.
Great.
The other status might be, the other message would be payment status not available. This will come up if you are not able to determine your eligibility for a payment. This might mean that you haven't filed for 2018 or 2019, or that you recently filed and we just haven't fully processed it yet. They do provide a payment date on this tool, and if there isn't one, we do encourage you to check back. The system is updated every day, but only once a day, so no need to constantly check back. That would be frustrating, but it is updated daily.
So just a couple quick questions and we'll move on to the other more traditional side of the IRS. Is this count as income for me and my family?
No, that's also good news about the payment. It is not considered taxable income, so it will not disqualify anyone or affect their eligibility if they have an assistance from an income-based eligibility program. It will not kick them out of the program.
Does being on Social Security or Social Security disability in any way affect whether or not I'm eligible?
No, it does not. As long as you meet the other eligibility requirements, Social Security recipients, including SSDI and SSI, are entitled to receive a payment. And the good news for them is they don't have to take any any action. They don't have to file any return or do anything special. This also includes recipients of railroad retiree benefits as well as VA benefits. All of those individuals will just receive a payment automatically. The IRS will use information on file with the VA or the Social Security Administration to direct deposit or to mail a paper check.
And the way that the CARES Act was written, this is a one-time payment as of now, correct?
This is a one-time payment. It will be reconciled when 2020 income taxes are filed, if applicable. And as I said, if you don't get what you're owed, you will at that time.
Terrific. Thank you, Kate. Let me just switch over a little bit now and talk to Erica, who is a taxpayer advocate. Yes, you do have advocates, many of them. Erica, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how are you?
Great. Thanks for being on. We really appreciate it. So for those who need help in the 2019 filing, what should they do? How can they access the IRS to give them some guidance?
So if they haven't filed their 2019 tax returns yet, they can get free tax return preparation help through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, or AARP. Those links are available on the website. And although right now a lot of them are limited access, some of them do accept documents and some of them will process, so it's on a case-by-case basis. The other tool they could use is on the IRS website. There's a free file that they can access as well to file. So it's recommended they file electronically because, as Kate said, the paper returns are not being processed. So the best thing to do is file it electronically.
So today's the 17th of April, which means if you didn't file, and this was a normal year, there'd be a little bit of an issue. But that filing has been changed. Why don't you bring us up to speed when you have to have your filings in for the year 2019?
That's correct. So there's an extension. So normally it would be April 15th, but this year, because of COVID-19, it's July 15th. So that includes filing and also, as well as payment. So those are the new deadlines to file your tax return for 2019 and to pay your taxes.
So to check your status, if you filed electronically or about to, is the website brought up to speed for checking on what your status is for the 19 filing?
It should be brought up to speed. However, if there is an issue with your refund, you filed 2 months ago and you still haven't heard anything, and you need the refund to pay your utility bill or your rent, it's urgent, then you can come to my office, Taxpayer Advocate Service, and we can help you find out what the status of that refund is. You can do that by going on the IRS website and in the search box typing in Form 911, or they can also go through your office, Constituent Services.
Great. So if you're filing a paper form, it's going to probably be a little bit longer. If you're doing electronically, that's still moving along well, but not maybe as quick as it normally did. Is that
well,
fair?
The problem is sometimes people don't fill out the form correctly. They make mistakes in terms of reporting their income or their withholdings, and it doesn't match with the database that the taxpayer's employer submits to the IRS. So there's a mismatch. Also, another problem could be that the employer doesn't send in the W-2 information. So there could be another mismatch. So we can help resolve that issue by letting the taxpayer know there's a mismatch, you need to file an amended return, or your employer just filed the W-2s and now it's going to get processed.
Thank you. And both Kate and Erica, we appreciate you coming on. It's so glad to see that people at IRS are real people who are friendly and want to help. I can't thank you enough on behalf of a grateful government that you're doing what you're doing, especially during these times. And to the rest of you, those frontline workers, day in and day out, whether you're a first responder, police, fire, EMS, to those healthcare workers who are incredibly brave dealing with this virus in such a tough time. Thank you. We really do appreciate it, because the only way we're going to win if we do this together, and we all are together. Two quick things: 427-7000, that's area code 856 for our office. Appreciate any insight you have, any questions. Our team's been working literally incredible hours trying to get there. They're all hooked in remotely and are there to help you. Or you always have our website at www.norcross.house.gov. Again, ladies, thank you very much for being with us and bringing that information to the constituents of the 1st District. And we'll talk to you later on.